On the pages today, we visit the Natural History Museum of Jamaica, recognize the work of our street fairies, and help you to stay safe with some vital information. Hello, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Welcome to Jamaica Magazine.
Nobody want to plant the can. Everybody want to read the band. Who you are go blame it on when it's a next man? You are the pen pan. Well, you're wrong.
Farmers, let us be serious about predial larceny. It is affecting all of us. If you are aware of incidents of predial larceny, make contact with your local police station or call Crime Stop at 311. Predial larceny is everybody's business.
No mind if me stall. Them no business if me back against the wall. This a living sometime making me ball.
Good day, I'm Lorraine Mendez and this is your JIS News for Thursday, September 26. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is reiterating his call for a change to how small island developing states such as Jamaica are classified. Mr. Holness asserts that Jamaica's classification as an upper middle income country locks the island out of loan consideration and access to financing that would assist the country in attaining the Sustainable Development Goals, SGDs.
This challenge poses a real threat to the hard-won gains generated by our responsible stewardship of the development process. I therefore urge development partners to redouble their efforts and contribute resources for the delivery of the 2030 Agenda. We also encourage UN member states and the UN development system to continue fostering an enabling environment for meaningful and durable partnerships for the benefit of all. No one should be left behind.
Prime Minister Holness made the call Wednesday at the 2019 Sustainable Development Goals Summit at the 74th United Nations General Assembly in New York. The summit considered the findings of the Global Sustainable Development Report titled "The Future is Now: Science for Achieving Sustainable Development." Authored by 15 independent scientists, the report shows the linkages of the 17 SDGs and how achieving one may impact other goals. Mr. Holness says the report is intrinsic to Jamaica's development efforts. He told the gathering that the principles of good governance and accountability are institutionalized in the Jamaican public sector. He says the state has also revised its fiscal policies, social protection systems, financial sector regulations, and trade policies to align with new realities. The National Water Commission, NWC, will be writing off the debt of some customers who have been severely affected by the recent drought conditions. The total write-off will be in the range of $100 to $150 million. Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Senator Pernell Charles Jr., says the bill redemption will be done under very specific conditions and procedures.
The NWC will be collaborating with JSIF to deliver a debt write-off to residents of the most hard-hit communities. And so far, the NWC has written off in excess of $50 million from these communities.
Minister Charles Jr. was addressing a press conference on Tuesday. For his part, NWC President Mark Barnett says customers who will benefit from the measure will be notified through the agency's revenue department. He says a database already exists with the affected customers, therefore persons do not have to visit the NWC offices.
We're giving the customers the opportunity to start afresh with the NWC, meaning whatever balances they may have on their bills, the change in infrastructure, we will be writing off those balances, but it will be focused in certain communities and there are certain criteria that would have to be met.
Your driver's license will soon have additional security features to prevent fraud. Transport Minister Robert Montego made the disclosure during Tuesday's sitting of the House of Representatives. As part of increased security measures, Minister Montego said driving exams will be digitized and drivers will be assessed periodically.
And what we are moving to do is to digitize it so that once you're on screen, online, as soon as you pass, it will be cut and it will be centralized so that no local person in a depot would be able to change the scores or interfere with it. That would be centrally dealt with.
In addition, the minister said the Heart Trust NTA and the HOPE program will be collaborating to train 100 drivers in the initial phase of the Driving Ed program. Driving schools are also being checked for proper certification by the Island Traffic Authority, the ITA. Minister Montego says the initiatives form part of efforts to update the Transport Authorities Act. In other news, the Jamaica-Cuba Eye Care Center and technical cooperation has been extended. The countries signed the third bilateral agreement for technical cooperation and the operation of the center Tuesday. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the agreement will ensure the continuity of eye care while facilitating knowledge transfer. Minister Tufton also disclosed that the state is considering new policy approaches that will focus more on the prevention of eye diseases.
Starting with the very early ages in schools and then moving that right through to some of the curative measures that you have been so gracious in providing to us.
Cuban health professionals have been honored to share with their Jamaican brothers and sisters the experience of an inclusive health system based on primary care, centered in the community and focused on disease prevention.
Since 2010, a total 20,982 eye surgeries have been performed by the Cuban healthcare professionals, assisted by local teams here in Jamaica. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett is expressing confidence that Jamaica will be able to mitigate any potential fallout from the collapse of tour operator Thomas Cook. He says the immediate impact of the closure of the Europe-based company will see Jamaica losing up to half of the 1,800 passengers booked to arrive on rotation flights from England by October 31 and over $10 million in earnings. Speaking during a media briefing at his New Kingston office on Tuesday, Mr. Bartlett said plans are already in motion to acquire additional flights out of Europe.
The good news for us really is that we have that resilience in terms of the outreach of our marketing activities. Beyond that, the relationship we have with the tour operators and the airlines, and so we're able to nimbly move around beyond the 6 flights that Thomas Cook should bring out of Manchester. We will be fairly well protected for the other rotations that would have to come.
The tourism minister is now in London, England for this week's Jamaica travel market. He is expected to meet with industry officials and negotiate for more seats out of Europe in the absence of tour operator Thomas Cook. And finally, the Ministry of Tourism has launched a $100,000 fund to assist with recovery efforts in hurricane-ravaged Bahamas. The fund was established through the Global Tourism Resilience and Crisis Management Center. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says the fund is one of the outcomes of a recent mission to the UNWTO General Assembly in Russia. Mr. Bartlett at the UNWTO General Assembly lobbied the members for support for the Bahamas following the devastating effects of Hurricane Dorian.
We are doing that on the basis not just of being part of the group that's providing supplies. No, we are doing it to build capacity. It's about enabling the building of capacity to deal with disruptions.
The Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association has also contributed $20,000 to assist in relief efforts through the UNWTO and the Center. Minister Bartlett made the announcement Tuesday at a media briefing on the status of the tourism industry. And that's it for JI's News Today. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Thanks for watching.
Water is precious. So we encourage everyone to practice the 4 R's of water conservation. Always remember to reduce your use of water wherever possible. Replace water wasting devices with water savings devices. Reuse water wherever possible. And wherever leaks are found, please repair them and repair them quickly.
Don't delay. Practice the 4 R's of water conservation today.
Jamaica has thousands of plants, many of which are known for their medicinal properties, and sometimes it's hard to remember them, but the Natural History Museum of Jamaica makes that so much easier.
Necessity is the mother of invention, and we had to find a way to survive. And so for the plants the natural gift of the Creator, we could rely on it to guide us into what we needed to do. I didn't know about Fenzik and your pharmaceutical things. I know about bush. So if I had a headache, I knew as a child that I should use the leaves of 3 mackerel bush and a piece of cloth and tie it on my head, and the pain would go.
The use of herbs as medicine. While this age-old practice has been overlooked by many, the Institute of Jamaica saw it fitting to mount an exhibition on medicinal plants of Jamaica and their uses, bringing to the present the medicinal habits used in the past.
So at least 330 plants have been found growing in Jamaica, have been identified as having medicinal value. Of that 334, at least 193 have been assessed for their biochemical activities, and 23 of those are actually endemic plants.
Not every plant, though in its natural form is good, is accessible to everybody. And knowing the information about the plant and wanting to get that into the hands of the people, some of our scientists have begun to study extensively some of these plants to see how they can be formulated in such a way so that they can be packaged and be accessible to the public.
You just don't wake up and say, Eureka, I have found it. They would have learned from the people in the community what plants were used for what purpose. So you know all those things in your childhood because they were continually using the plants of nature to assist in what they were doing.
Ever since I was a child, my mom always said me go break a piece of bush to make tea if the tea bag run out. But what was I getting out of it? I had no clue. And sometimes people say it worked, some other people say it didn't work. So that's why I really did the research to find out if these plants actually work. So we started only making butterbrush, which is also known as Callistemon viminalis. And then we broadened and we focused on lemongrass. We focused on most of the herbs that are used by native Jamaicans to cure different ailments.
In addition to the showcase, students from the Dunrobin, Chetola Park and the Rollington Town primary schools were scientists for a day as they participated in one of the institution's monthly and afternoon with a scientist sessions. Modeled around the Ministry of Education's academic calendar, the mandate of the program is to expose students to and encourage an appreciation for different disciplines of science through fun-filled scientific activities.
I've been promoting entrepreneurship, especially in the medicinal plant industry. So one of the things I do is to give back. So I volunteer even at my children's school. We have an entrepreneurial club where I teach them to make different products from plants.
I learned that they can use herbs to make soap.
It was very exciting because I got to see what dangerous chemicals they use in it and how is it correct to go on the skin.
First, we had to put some coconut oil in like a metal cup. Then we had to put shea butter in it and melt it. And then we put it in sodium hydroxide. And it was very, very, very hot. I spilled it a couple times, but it was okay, just a little clean up. And it began to get thick, so I was like, what should I do now? And she was like, just mix it, it's normal. And then we got to put what we want in there. I put charcoal in there, and then I made a swirl in the mold. It was a very good experience.
I'm so happy our students were able to participate in the activity held here at the Institute, where they learn more about medicinal plants. I believe it's very important for them to know that the plants that are found right there in their backyards can be used for healing of ailments that they'll have, the common cold, whatever the ailment may be.
This is what I would like to engage the people in. Go back to their communities and learn how people lived. A generation which came out of slavery could neither read nor write, and yet they were able to contain themselves and to live We want the students to have some respect for the heritage of this country because it is going to guide you to the future.
Jamaica Eye is part of an island-wide network of camera surveillance systems designed to increase the safety of you, our citizens. If you have a camera system outside your home or office facing a public space, join us in helping to make Jamaica a safer place for all. Log on to jamaicaeye.gov.jm today. Jamaica Eye, we're all connected. The Ministry of National Security, creating a safer and prosperous Jamaica.
Up next, an important profession that we often take for granted.
Once upon a time, in a land far away from a fairy tale, were a people who lived the way you and I do, but a little differently. Much like the shoemaker and the elves, these street fairies don't leave beautiful pairs of shoes behind, but their art shares some similarities, and it's nonetheless worthy of recognition.
Good night, Dana Anderson, shovel user, shovel and drum, clean up Jamaica.
I'm working in the company 8 years now. I like the job, keep the place tidy and clean.
They always say to me, say, this is not a woman's work, but a woman has to do what a woman has to do, eh? You have to work for yours, eh? Nobody ain't gonna give you nothing, so you have to work for it.
Yeah, enough of the woman they work hard and plenty of the man them. I get used to my work still, some no feel no different from the man them. At the end of the day, I will bread where I work for. So any work for woman. Woman the man work nowadays.
I'm all right with my work. Yeah, I can provide for myself, my nephew, my niece, my child. She don't really like my day out here, you know, she rather my day with she, but I have to make ends meet. I have to work, I have to pay my bills them. But they don't give me nothing, I have to work my own. But people that see me and want to style me and this, because I try to chuck work I do and them things there. But I don't really watch my face. Because I know, say, when my money enough, you see me?
I want to burn fire upon this whole foolishness that people talk from time to time about. If they don't litter, people don't get work.
Yeah, that's what them say for my time. But them can do better still. Plenty of them can do better still.
Enough of them like we, and enough don't like we, because sometimes we have to do with all the truck like all that, so now them don't say, we move from there, say we don't thinking truck and them things, but we don't care about that. That's our work.
When you litter, you waste the resource of your country. You make life more difficult for yourself and your fellow men. And you destroy the aesthetic, the beauty of our country that we boast about so much.
We are cleaning up Jamaica. And without cleaning up not Jamaica, wiper, disease and germs are broke out. So everybody who work with solid waste, important people them. All are important.
Differently from the sweeper them, we don't like the garbage bag up and we go through it more easier for it. More time we come out and have to wait on the sweeper them like on the just seat right now. We have to wait till the street sweep up, but if it's bag up, it's more easier for it.
Just the fact that you are generating solid waste, I ask you to just take some time to package it properly so that it gives us more ease of cleaning. And it also helps the side men, side women. They are human beings too. Their job is already very difficult. Don't make it more difficult for them by giving them extra work to do. It is very tough on them. The job is difficult. You know, it's not just about lifting things put in a truck, but some of the things they encounter out here. Bags with human feces. It's common occurrence, especially in the market district. The smell of urine is everywhere, and it's in the solid waste that they're picking up. All sorts of meat cuttings, fish bone, fish back, fish gut, just about anything that people don't want. And they have to pick it up. They have to face it.
A certain time at the night, when we reach certain hours at the night, like 3:30, 4 o'clock, gunman can all strike and we have to run left the garbage some of the time and all them things then. And come back around and take it up, see, because we cannot leave it. See me? We cannot leave it. And we don't like them keep Jamaica beauty and clean.
Well, I stay out of them way, and I'm not really go for them though. I still think them happen, you know. I just stay by myself, each time I look a corner.
And yet, despite the tough nature of the job, these people show up not just for work, but they show up and work.
We're backbone of the company, you know. Who clean the rubbish? That's my backbone. We're the most important people in the company. How we clean up work, enough mess and good rubbish, bad rubbish, all different kind of rubbish.
I believe deep in my heart that if you talk about heroes and heroines, our sidemen and sidewomen are right up there with any because of the human service that they provide and in very tough circumstances to keep Jamaica clean. Day after day, night after night, they are out and about, they roll up the sleeve, and notwithstanding all that they have to face, their head is down and they are going relentlessly in pursuit of that clean Jamaica. I laud them. I lift my hat to them. They are good people. I just hope that more and more people will see them for who they are. People who are there to safeguard the health of the nation. They are the NSWNA. Without them, we are nothing.
Yeah, I love my work. I love it. I love clean the shovel.
I don't get me use at night time.
And as sunbeams break the night sky and the stars and moon bid their goodbye, the city smiles.
Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it.
No dash, no paper, no dash, no plastic. Dispose your garbage responsibly. No know how to recycle, learn it quick. And if you drop it, better pick up every piece of it. Plastics last forever, don't forget the bits. Cause when them touch the street, them end up in the sea. Collect pan the reef where they fish them feed. And when you want seafood, I eat your
Keep
eat.
we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. No dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica.
We have 2 months remaining in the 2019 Atlantic hurricane season, and with systems forming around us, it's important to know what to do if you live in flood-prone areas.
Every month of the year, there has been in our history some incidents of flooding that has taken place in some aspect of the country. And that is something that we have to take note of. Apart from monitoring and giving the forecast, we are also responsible for warnings. And so there are some warnings that we want you to take special heed to if you consider yourself to be vulnerable in any situation. When we speak about a flash flood watch, it means that there is a feature, some kind of weather system that is going to produce enough rainfall that makes it possible for you to get flooding. So it means start to watch because the water levels are going to be increasing and there is the possibility of the flooding. Now, if we start to see that in some area flooding has started to occur, or if we believe that the flooding has been so close to an area that it is going to happen in that area in a short space of time, we will escalate that flash flood watch and refer to it as a flash flood warning. So when we talk about a flash flood warning, it means not only that the flooding is possible, but the flooding either has already started to happen or is going to happen in a very short space of time because it is very close to that area. So it is important to know what the watch means as opposed to what the warning means. Usually with the warning, we will not only issue a warning, but we will also tell you what kind of actions are important or what you should not do. Like, do not go through flooded waterways because it could pose a risk to your life and to your property. Also, if you live in low-lying or flood-prone areas, if it is an area that is regularly experiencing flooding, a flash flood warning for your area would mean that now is the time to move to higher ground because the flooding has already started or is going to happen very shortly. It is also important for us to know where we live, because sometimes in our messages we might not refer to the actual town, but we will tell you what part of the country the flood watch or the flood warning is relevant to. So if we talk about central parishes, we are referring to Clarendon. We're also talking about Manchester. We're also talking about St. Anne. These are central parishes. So you have to be knowledgeable of where you live so that you know whether the message actually applies to you. The messages that we issue for hurricanes and tropical storms are watches and warnings as well, like the flooding. But in this case, for a tropical storm or a hurricane, when we issue a watch, it means the conditions that are associated with the storm or the hurricane are possible within a certain time frame. If you hear tropical storm or hurricane watch, you could get the impact of that system within a day and a half, 36 hours. If we mention that it is a tropical storm or a hurricane warning, it means that you only have 1 day before that thing can affect you. So we are moving to how quickly you need to make sure that you are prepared by naming it a watch or a warning. So the watch is the first level of the alert that there is something that is likely to affect you. But when we move to a warning, it means now is the time to batten down because you most likely are going to experience that storm or hurricane. We might have a tropical wave, which is the least of them, in that it can still cause a lot of rain and it can still cause flooding and devastation, but it will not have very strong winds associated with it. But then there is the tropical depression that is a little stronger because now you have winds that are moving with it, gusty winds, and it also has a lot of rainfall. Then you have tropical storms, which is a more severe kind of tropical depression because the winds are even stronger. And then if it gets even stronger, it could become a hurricane. So it's important that you have your radio and that your radio is battery controlled, not dependent on electricity, so that you can hear the warning messages that come from the meteorological service. Also bear in mind that if you dial 116, you will be able to hear the latest message coming out of the meteorological service related to any warnings. We cannot stop paying attention. We cannot let down our guard. You have to prepare yourself and stay prepared until we are out of the threat.
As we close today's show, we ask that you stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or via tweet at JIS News. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.